forward. Here we go. And I'm just going to minimize those buttons. There we go. So look, everybody, I hope everybody is doing well and the weather is fine wherever you're at, whatever part of the world you're in. Actually, nice day here today. Yesterday was absolutely miserable, unreal in the Republic of Ireland here. But, today hasn't been too bad. So even though it is getting a little bit colder. So look, we got some good information today, but today we're going to do things slightly different. What we're going to do is typically, as you know, I go ahead and I do the presentation right at the beginning, and then now every now and again, and more regular lately, we have one of you do a bit of a presentation as well, share some tips and tricks and useful information all about personal development. So today we're going to do it in a different order. We're going to start out with our guest presenter Catherine. Most of you probably have known Catherine. She's been fairly regular here for a while now, the last 6-7 months or so, and I've gotten actually very fond of Catherine. She's very good. She sends me a lot of really good information on a regular basis. And I had the pleasure of actually doing last week a one-to-one with Catherine as well. She takes it very serious. She's very passionate about what she does. But in addition to being one of our personal development consultants, she also owns a business, Jade Pillow Face Therapy. And I know she's trained in other forms of therapy as well. But I'm going to let her tell you all about that and share a bit about herself. But tonight she's going to be going ahead. She's going to be getting things kicked off, and she's going to be talking about your health. She's full of great useful tips and really knowledgeable in this particular area. So she's going to be talking about your health and the key areas within your system, I believe. So look, other than that, Catherine, are you all set to go?
I am, Patrick. Yes, thank you.
Very good. So I tell you what, I'm going to stop to share my share, and you go ahead and share your screen whenever you are ready. And I'm sure you'll be amazing. And I'm just going to stop my cam so I'm not in your picture.
Okay, thank you, Patrick, for that very nice introduction. So hello, everybody. And so basically I suggested to Patrick that maybe I could offer some useful information and ideas for the health key area. So my background is that I've been in the area of complementary therapies for a good many years. I won't tell you how many. But so I've done a lot of different therapies. I trained in naturopathic nutrition some years ago, and currently I practice as a hypnotherapist and do what I call oriental phase therapy as well. So forgive me if I tell you things you know already. I obviously don't know anything about your background. So anyway, I'll get started. So of course, it's always a good idea to have some kind of definition of health. So the word health comes from, has an old English root from a word meaning whole, a thing that is complete in itself. But actually, I like this definition that I have up on the screen now, which is from a Dr. William Lee, who is a Harvard-trained physician and researcher. And this is his basic definition of health, that it's more than the absence of disease, that it's about boosting the body's health defenses, of which there are 5. So we have the blood vessels, and the blood vessels, of which we have miles in the body, that take nutrients to the cells. And then we have the stem cells themselves. The stem cells are responsible for regeneration in the body, and it's slow regeneration. So they are responsible for our hair growing, for example, for our skin repair. And it has been found that if you remove something like, maybe with the liver, you remove, say, 2/3 of it, which might happen if you have a tumour, that the liver will actually grow back. And then we have the microbiome, which is the gut bacteria. In fact, our bodies are teeming with bacteria. We even have it on our skin. And William Lee describes this as the ecosystem of the body. And we need to have the right combination of bacteria in our guts. And if we do, then the bacteria lowers inflammation in the body. Excess inflammation in the body is deleterious to health. It can help to optimize metabolism. I mean, sometimes people who struggle to lose weight, it's because their gut bacteria is out of balance. The fourth defense is our DNA. Now, we know that our DNA comes from that of our parents, but DNA also defends us against the environment. So, for example, when you go outside, you're exposed to UV rays, ultraviolet rays from the sun. And I'm not talking about sunbathing here, just sort of being outside. And any damage that's caused by that is repaired by the DNA. So the DNA can repair itself. And then lastly, we have the immune system. And of course, with the pandemic, we've all heard talk about the immune system. The immune system protects us from both external and internal invaders. So external invaders might be viruses, and internal invaders would be perhaps something like cancer. And what William Lee says is that it's the things you do on a daily basis that either support the body's health defences or don't support them. And he is very much into diet, what we put into our bodies, and has written a book called Eat to Beat Disease, the new science of how your body can heal itself. So I thought it would be useful to put up what I'm working on at the moment in my particular health area. So I've got elements, diet, the kinds of things that I try to do on a daily basis. I've included grooming, which I'll talk about a little bit later, exercise, of course, and additional practices. So today I'm going to start with just talking a little bit about diet. I'm going to say a little bit about grooming and exercise, and spend a little bit more time on some of these additional practices and how you can use them if you're interested in incorporating them yourself. So the area of diet is vast, and there are so many diets out there. There's the keto diet, there's the paleo diet, there's the high-fat diet, there's the low-fat diet, you name it, you know, there's a diet named after it. But some time ago, I was, because of something I was writing, I did a little bit of research and came across a physician called Dr. Paul Clayton, a physician and researcher. And with a social historian, they looked at the mid-Victorian diet. That is the diet of the working classes in mid-Victorian England. And the reason Paul Clayton wanted to do that was because of the level, what he perceived as the level of good health of the working class Victorian population. So, for example, life expectancy for men was 75 and 73 for women. They did live very physical lives. You can imagine the kinds of jobs they were doing: factory work, work on the land, work on the roads, and so on. So they lived very physical lives. But basically, they tended to die of infections and accidents. They had very little degenerative illness, and cancer was, very very low incidence of cancer. And if you look at this slide, you'll see that, they were eating a very wide variety of foods. Now, those of us who live in the UK are, exhorted to eat 5 portions of fruit and vegetables every day, a portion being about 2 ounces. But the mid-Victorian working class person was eating twice that amount. And because they didn't have much money, they tended to grow their own food. They would keep their own livestock. They might keep hens, so they would have eggs from their own hens. And they would have to eat seasonally. And they ate a lot of fish, they ate meat, but they ate things like offal. So they were eating heart and kidney, tripe, which is the lining of the stomach. They were eating sweetbreads, which is the glands of the animal. They would also they ate a lot of herring and fish that we might not eat now, like sprats. And they would have shellfish, mussels, and oysters, and so on. So this is the kind of general diet that people might be eating, and this shows all the different food groups. We need to have proteins to build and repair our tissues. We need to have carbohydrates for energy. We need to have fats, what we call essential fatty acids in the body for essential functions of the body, and also to contribute to energy as well. And we also need minerals and vitamins, and you'll see, and our best sources are actually fruit and vegetables. And you can see from this that they were eating large proportions they were getting a lot of minerals and vitamins through the fruit and vegetables they were eating. So minerals and vitamins are needed for many processes in the body, including enzyme activity. And when I trained as a nutritionist, we spent a lot of time looking at the purpose of minerals and what they did in the body, because they are so important to the healthy functioning of the body. So I thought it would be interesting to compare the mineral and vitamin content of 2 vegetables. So I've just chosen broccoli and carrots. And if you look, you'll see, for example, that broccoli has 143% more iron in it than carrot. And it has 1,412% more vitamin C than carrot. And you'll also see that carrot has 109% more sodium than broccoli, and that carrot also has 2,195% more beta carotene than broccoli. Beta carotene is the precursor to vitamin A. This isn't by any means a full list of minerals and vitamins, but these are some of the what we call the macro minerals. So you can see that the importance of eating a wide variety of vegetables in order to get all the different minerals and vitamins. And what I want to say as well is that, what I've shown here, it kind of suggests that broccoli is, the super vegetable, but it's really important to eat as wide a variety of vegetables as possible, because all plants have their own toxins. And if you eat a lot of broccoli, you just might, it can depress the function of the thyroid. So, so mixing it up is a very good thing. So one of the things that I think is absolutely fascinating is that apart from minerals and vitamins, fruit and vegetables have what are known as phytonutrients. And phytonutrients are what give vegetables and fruit their colour. Now, phytonutrients are substances produced by the fruit and vegetable to protect it from being eaten by bugs, which I think is absolutely fascinating. And the other thing is that these phytonutrients are very important to our bodies. So, for example, there are two phytonutrients. One's called lutein and the other is called zeaxanthin. They give the yellow and orange pigment to fruits and vegetables. So pumpkin, carrots, yellow peppers, orange peppers, melons. They are actually in leafy green vegetables. It's the chlorophyll that obscures the orange colour. But lutein and zeaxanthin are very important for eye health. And when people have eye disease, they can be deficient in those particular phytonutrients. So again, we can really help ourselves to get the most out of our nutrition by incorporating all these different coloured fruits and vegetables into our diet and getting those all-important phytonutrients. So just some suggestions if you want to up your the nutrition of your diet, if you feel you need to, then these are some ideas. So adding colour to your meals, as I've just described. Quite often I'll have a side salad as well as vegetables with my meals. So you could have a side salad or a bowl of like a side helping of extra vegetables if you want to. I make a lot of vegetable soups. I eat vegetable soup pretty much every day. And so you get all the nutrients from the vegetables. Sometimes I'll increase the nutritional density by adding a poached egg to a bowl of soup or a swirl of olive oil or some chopped herbs or a sliced avocado, something like that. Very often I usually have porridge for breakfast and I'll add different fruits, a small handful of nuts, which is for they contain the essential fatty acids. The same with seeds like sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds. And one of the things that I've been doing is trying a new vegetable every week to kind of extend the variety of my vegetables. I tried Eddos recently, which I'd seen in the supermarket, and they're quite like potatoes. And this week I'm having radicchio, which is a beautiful purple leafy salady type vegetable. And quite often I'll introduce new recipes as well to get that variety. So what I want to say is when we looked at the Victorian diet, there was meat and fish in it, and of course I recognised that many people are vegetarian or vegan. So if you are, then it's really important to know how to do it well. You need to know about things like protein complementation and where you're going to get your essential fatty acids. So it's always a good idea to maybe run it by a nutritionist to make sure that you're getting all the nutrients that you need. And the other thing is that, of course, if you have a health condition, it's always a good idea to, if you want to make changes to your diet, to speak to your doctor or a nutritionist just to check that it's okay, and to introduce these changes slowly as well, so that your body can get used to any changes that you make. So that's what about putting stuff in your body, but really important as well is how we eat. And when I was a kid, we had to sit down for meals, and a lot of us have got a bit away from that. We eat at our computers. We eat, we don't have a proper lunch hour at lunchtime at work, and we just carry on working. But I think one of the nice things about setting a place is that, and it creates a kind of ritual. It's the time that you're going to be eating. And if you eat mindfully, appreciating all the tastes and flavors, then it becomes a different kind of experience. And I think also putting an appreciative energy into your food, which I feel is probably very good for one's well-being as well. And it's been found that when people eat mindfully, that very often eat less. And I feel that's probably because you're appreciating the food more, but also eating more slowly. And it takes about 20 minutes for the satiety reflex to kick in. So that would explain it. But digestion begins in the mouth. So, chewing is really important to get the digestive process going. And, it's said that really we should chew until our food is liquid. I can't say that I necessarily do that, but I do try to chew fairly thoroughly. And that just begins the digestive process. Then your stomach takes over when you swallow, and it can do its bit more easily if you've chewed the food well. And the other thing is about not eating when you're stressed, if possible. When we're stressed, we're in fight-flight mode. And when we're in fight-flight mode, the body shuts down inessential activity, and that includes the digestive system. And that's why people who are quite stressed, chronically stressed, often have digestive problems, because their digestive system just isn't able to do the work it needs to do. Okay, so, all right, so moving on from diet to something called earthing. And I don't know if you noticed, this was on one of my additional practices, is barefoot walking. So I came across earthing not that long ago. And basically what I do every morning, I go out for a walk first thing. I go to the common just up the road, and I take my shoes off and I walk on the grass in my bare feet. At least I'm doing that at the moment. I'm not sure what it would be like in the winter. But I came across earthing, and the idea basically is that the earth is a reservoir of free electrons, and we need to absorb these from the earth for our health. Now, we wear shoes with rubber soles or plastic soles, and these break the connection between our bodies and the earth. And I found a very interesting documentary on this, which is on YouTube, by there's a guy called Clint Ober, who was in the telecommunications business. And he began to think about this idea of whether we as humans should be earthed like electricity needs to be. And I don't have time to go into it in any great detail, but he found that people slept better. He tried it out on different people, and he earthed his own bed by putting an earth from his a pad on his mattress out through the window into the ground, and said he had the best night's sleep. And that started him off trying researching and seeing the benefits of it. So long story short, he presented it to I think he said UCLA medical departments, who showed him the door basically, apart from one cardiologist called Stephen Sinatra, who really took it on board. And the reason for that is that apparently earthing, being having periods of time earthing your body in this way, thins the blood. And he says that blood can get thick, and that's what leads to strokes and heart attacks. So that's one of the benefits. They've done quite a lot of research on that. But also people often report that if they have painful conditions, that their pain is reduced. And that's because when you earth in this way, your body releases, it gets rid of inflammation. And inflammation is what causes pain. People just generally feel better. They feel more peaceful because it has some kind of impact on the vagus nerve. People generally sleep better, and people have even found that they have lost weight. And Clint Ober says that can be the hormonal balance coming back. So there are different ways that we can earth ourselves. There's barefoot walking, as I've described, which is barefoot walking on grass or on the sand on the beach. Even getting in the sea is earthing, as is swimming in mineral-rich lakes. Gardening is another way, because you're putting your hands in the soil, and even walking on concrete in your bare feet can earth you. You can also, I'm not sure if you can see this, I've got this earthing mat, which was not expensive, and I put it under my table where my computer is. And there's a wire that you plug into your electric socket, and it just takes the earth through the socket. There's no electricity, it just earths through the socket. And I have my bare feet on it when I'm working. And I have to say, when I come back from a barefoot walk, I do feel really very good. So we've talked about building up the body, and I just want to say a little bit about detoxification. So this is kind of getting rid of toxins in our bodies. So the body has its own kind of sewage system, we might call it, the lymphatic system. And it's a series of vessels that run in tandem with the circulatory system. And what the lymphatic system does is it takes toxins away from the cells, but it doesn't have its own pump. So we have to enable it. We have to pump it effectively. And exercising is one way to activate the pumping of the lymphatic system, but also some other practices. And the skin brushing, which you may have heard of, where you use a dry bristle brush and you brush the whole of your body towards the heart, and that stimulates the lymphatic system, as well as sloughing off dead skin cells. There's something called Chapman's reflexes, which is stimulating various parts of the body which are energetically connected to organs. So, for example, the iliotibial band down the side of your thighs is the reflexes are also reflexes to the large intestine, and they can be stimulated to help the large intestine detoxify. And there's a routine that you have to follow when working with Chapman's reflexes. You can also do a self-massage, which is quite gentle. And again, it's just helping the lymph drain. And generally what I do is I mix them up. So I'm exercising, obviously, but I'll do skin brushing for a period of time, or I might do Chapman's reflexes for a period of time, and lymphatic drainage, self-massage, because I feel they probably have slightly different effects on the lymphatic system. And there are lots of videos on skin brushing and Chapman's reflexes on YouTube showing you how to do it. I've got a link, I've got a PDF that you can have, and I've got a link to a lymphatic drainage self-massage routine as well. So I put grooming into my health area because I realised very much during lockdown that it was very easy to just slop around in any old thing. And we had such a beautiful summer, and I realised I had this cupboard full of really nice summer dresses, and why keep them for best, So I looked at this as an area and at myself, and what I was doing in terms of grooming, and decided to incorporate it into my health area because it's about self-care. And whenever we do things for our own self-care, then it feeds into how we feel about ourselves. It feels into how we feel about going out into the world and so on. So I feel it's an important part of our mental and emotional health. So I put together a little area for grooming. I do things on my feet to make them look good and work well, and the same with my hands, which with age they're getting to look a bit gnarly. So I do a hand routine, which includes stretching and massaging and so on. And yeah, I know grooming would be different for everybody. So, but I think it's a good thing to think about in the health field. And then finally, exercise. So we all know about exercise, and we all know that we need to do it. We need to get our bodies moving. Those mid-Victorian working class people were doing a lot of physical exercise and benefiting from it. But it seems that we need a variety of exercise. So we need weight-bearing exercise. We need exercise that perhaps builds our muscle so that we keep our body working well. I like to dance. I do flamenco dance. I do it twice a week. And to me, dance is great, not just for the physical, but also for you have to learn some choreography, so it's for the memory and also coordination, because your arms are doing something different to your feet. Plus, you might be playing castanets. So I think mixing it up, you get different benefits. But what I thought would be nice to have a look at tonight is what are known as internal exercises. So we have these exercises have pretty much come from the East, from Japan and China and India, and basically they function through postures and breathing and focus of the mind. But what they're doing is working on the internal energy of the body, and they are said to benefit the internal organs. So the one I'm most familiar with is Qigong, and the one that I do is Qigong. And Qigong, the one I do actually is a medical Qigong. So it was actually used, is still used in China with people who have cancer, for example. And it works with the energy lines known as meridians. And yoga also works with energy, perhaps with a different philosophy behind it, but using postures as well. So I do something called Dragon and Tiger Qigong, which is a medical Qigong. And one of the things it does is to move stagnant qi. So it's moving the energy of the body, as well as boosting energy levels and promoting self-healing. So that might be something that you'd like to take a look at. And also martial arts. I don't know a huge amount. I've never done any martial arts, but martial arts, this is just a few. There are lots and lots of different ones, are said to improve balance, strength, stamina, flexibility, and posture. And that they combine physical activity with self-defense and discipline. And people who do martial arts say that it helps with their confidence and self-esteem. So you can see there the mind, the mind-body connection that martial arts approaches and promotes. And these can also be seen as spiritual practices. So, for example, yoga was originally designed as a preparation for meditation. So that's really my presentation tonight. I do have a PDF with some resources related to what I've talked about tonight. So if you would like a copy of that, please email me at kathchadwick@yahoo.co.uk and I'll send it to you. So thank you.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Fantastic. Catherine, I have to say, I knew it was going to be very good. I knew it because I've had many conversations with you, and I know that you're very knowledgeable on this subject. But I can honestly say that was as good, if not better, than any TED Talk that I've ever watched on the subject. Really, really interesting stuff. So well done. I mean, how fortunate are we as a network, as a group, to have you as a member that we can draw from? And that's the benefit that I hope everybody understands and pays attention, because we all have our area of expertise that we can share with each other. That's the power of our community. That's the power of the network that we're building here. So, but no, that was so well done. And I have to say, um, I took a great page from your book after our session last week. Catherine and I did a 1-to-1, and she was going through her key areas, and we were looking at her dashboard. And you had mentioned to me about soaking with Epsom salt, and and I thought that's something I used to do, and I haven't done it in, I couldn't remember the last time I did it. So I went the next day after we met. I went and I actually bought my the Epsom salt, and every night for maybe at the end of the day for maybe about 20 minutes or so, I've been soaking my feet, and it's lovely. I have to say it's fantastic. I look, I'm getting up there, so it every little bit helps. But no, I have to say that was a great presentation. I'm so grateful to you for doing it. Um, and I don't know if you'd be up for it. Do you want to? Does anybody have any questions for Catherine? Would you be up for some questions, Catherine?
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you a minute. Any questions at all, guys? Okay, we'll leave it, I guess, for everyone's being shy tonight. So look, not to worry about that. I had a question primarily about your soup, because I'm a big fan of soup myself. What type is it? All vegetable soup you're making, or primarily, or how do you go about it? How do you primarily prepare and whatnot?
Um, yeah, I basically make vegetable soup. So I kind of, I wing it. I don't particularly use recipes. So I get a box of vegetables, an organic box of organic vegetables every week, and I look at what's in there. So for example, today I had half a pumpkin, half a butternut squash rather, and I had some white beans in the cupboard. So last night I always think ahead a little bit. So I soaked the beans last night, and today I just, I just make them very simply. So I gently fried some onions and garlic, chopped up the pumpkin and put it in, and put the beans in, mixed it all in, put some dried thyme in, and water, and that was it. And I just cooked it all together.
And then that's a full meal for you then, is it?
So I would have that for lunch. Now, quite often, as I said in my presentation, I will up the nutritional value of it. So, sometimes I'll put a poached egg on it. I'll have it with a poached egg on the soup,
Sure.
or a sliced avocado on it, or seaweed. I quite often soak seaweed and put that on it, olive oil. So I don't always, if I'm not particularly hungry, I'll just have the soup. And you know, it's not thin, it'll be, things like squash thicken the soup and potatoes thicken the soup and so on. Or I might make a green soup so that, because green leafy vegetables, as we know, they're very good. They're very good. They have actually acidophilus on the leaves of green leafy vegetables, which we were talking about the gut
Yeah.
bacteria. And acidophilus is one of the gut bacteria that we need. So I might just take, cabbage and mostly cabbage and maybe some spinach, and I'll just do something similar. Maybe use a potato to thicken it, and I just put vegetables in. I'm happy just to have cook them with water, and I'll blend them together. But you can add stock as well. If you eat meat, you might have some stock left over from it, or stock cubes to put in it. But yeah, it's not much more than vegetables.
Yeah, that sounds actually amazing. And tell me, what's your advice on breads? Are breads something we should be eating, or what do you think?
Well, let me tell you, when I mean, it's some years since I did my nutrition training, but one day the lecturer came in and he had some gluten with him, and he added water to it, and it made this kind of substance like uh, it was sort of stretchy and gluey. And he said, "This is what happens with gluten in your body." Um, I I have I don't have really a fixed opinion about bread. I personally find it quite difficult to eat bread, and I think it might be the gluten that doesn't really agree with me. I find it makes me very sleepy, even though I absolutely love bread. But I think it depends on the kind of bread. You
Yeah.
know, sourdough bread, I think, is I'm not sure why, but I find that I can eat sourdough bread more easily. I have a friend who makes all his own bread. So it depends on the quality of the ingredients as much as anything, because the quality of flour can vary so much. There's really cheap ubiquitous flour, and then there's stone ground flour, and so I think probably the more you pay for your bread, the better better quality it
Yeah.
is. I mean, we were kind of discouraged when I did my nutrition training from eating bread, really, because of the gluten content, particularly. But wheat, the wheat that we have now, um, it's for the purposes of producing a lot of it, it's a fast growing variety, whereas 100 years ago people weren't using that kind of flour to make their bread.
Sure.
The wheat wasn't like that, so it's the fast growing wheat that's generally in our bread, made used for flour and in our bread, that isn't so healthy as as wheat that things like spelt is a form of wheat, I believe, and so these sort of older forms of wheat that take longer to grow are healthier. It's whenever things are modified, they're less healthy.
Yes, absolutely. Well, look, thanks again, Catherine. That was absolutely amazing. Really grateful to you.
Thank you.
Um, I'm a big fan of the saying, "Your health is your wealth," and and that is so true. And you're actually living proof of that. So look, we'll go ahead. We'll wrap it up with that, guys. The only thing I'm going to suggest to everybody is if keep in mind we're coming into October. October is a critical month for working on yourself and your clients because, well, you know how we like to do our quarterly reviews. We want to end the year on a strong note. You've been working hard all year. Your clients have been working hard, hopefully, and we just want to make sure that primarily that we're in a position that we could go ahead and end things on a very positive note. So apologies, it's getting very dark in here. I never left the lights on. But so when you're meeting with your clients this week, in addition to typical goal settings for a new month, you need to go ahead and be doing that quarterly review. We have October, November, December, the last 3 months of the year, and we all know what typically happens in December. So keep it in mind. Um, be proactive. And look, we'll wrap it up there, guys. Thanks again to Catherine. Thanks to everybody for coming. And we will see everybody next week. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good to see y'all.